Hello everyone and welcome to Joyful Living. I am your host, Kimberly Dixon. Tonight, our guest is Tammy Mills. Tammy, tell everyone about yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tammy Mills. I am a wife of an amazing husband, Ronell Mills. We have two beautiful daughters, Paris and Tamia. I am a first-time author of Suddenly. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm an artist because I love to sing. I'm a motivational speaker, and I am a woman of God.
Wow, Tammy, you really wear a lot of hats. But what we are here to talk about this evening is your new book, Suddenly. Tammy, tell us about your story.
My story with Suddenly started with when both of my parents died in a car accident, and I got that call around 6 a.m. that morning from my sister that they were gone. And she called me just crying very heavily, and I felt something had been going on that Saturday evening, but I did not know what it was. Even through the night, something was going on. But during that call, it changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, being in a place that's so deep, so dark, I did not know what to do. But it was during those times that I was in depression. I actually contemplated suicide, and God spoke to me. He was actually sending other people to encourage me to write the book. And so I would say to myself, you know, why are these people inboxing me to write a book? They have no idea what I'm going through.
Right.
And so it was during the time that God spoke to me and said, your purpose, your pain is for a purpose. Your pain is for a purpose. And I was like, all this time I'm going through all of these suddenly tragedies. And now God is saying it was for a purpose. And he reminded me of Romans 8:28, where he said, all things work together for the good. And we can hear that scripture over and over again, even where it sounds like it's cliche, right? But when he said that, it resonated with me. It opened up my understanding to let me know that the good things will work out, and also the bad things will work out for your good.
Yes.
For those that love God, those that are called according to his purpose, he's going to work it out. You may not know, you may not see, or you may not even understand, but if you can trust God, he's going to bring it together. And so I said, okay, I will do it. I didn't move right then, but I was having a conversation with God.
Okay.
And he said, write the book, daughter. And I was like, why should I write a book? I'm hurting. He said, because you said when you was a little girl, you wanted to be an author. And that really touched me, because here I am, 49 years old, and God remembered.
Wow.
He remembered
That's
what I said when I was a little girl, and all I could do was weep. And then I shifted again, because I'm still in bed. The curtains are closed, very dark place, isolated. My husband's at work, my daughter's at school, and no one knows I'm in this state of mind. But I said, God, if I decide to write a book, I don't even have a title. He said, suddenly. Instantly, suddenly. So I was like, wow. So I reached over and got my phone, and I put it in my phone.
Okay. So he gave you the title, and he's been talking with you through this tragedy. What made you actually decide to pick up a pen and start to write your story now?
Again, when he said your purpose, your pain is for a purpose, and he said that everything you've been through, you have to share what you've been through. I did not allow you to go through all of this for you just to sit here and be stuck. You have to share. You have to share your story with the world. People are literally waiting for you to show up.
Okay.
And so if they don't show up, they won't get what they are put on this earth to do. You have to show up.
Amen. We have to show up.
You have to show up.
So tell us a little bit about that journey. You mentioned that you were depressed and couldn't get out of bed. How long did it take for you to be able to move past that to the point where you were able to be able to share this story? Because this is an unimaginable tragedy, and to be able to write about it and to share that with someone else, that's deeply personal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It was very hard. It didn't happen immediately. Even while writing the book, I would stop. I would write, I would stop, and there were several times I told God I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Me being a person that's very reserved. I'm an introvert, and I just never been the type of person that like to talk about what I've been through. I just don't like to do that. But God continued to pull on my heart, and he continued to use other people to say, write the book and share your story. So I knew it was something that I had to do, but it was very, very hard. But I prayed and I asked for the assistance of the angels, the scribe angels, to help me. But it was therapeutic for me. God said, you have to go back to the beginning, because I thought when I was going to write the book, suddenly I thought it was going to really be based off my parents dying in a car accident at the same time. But God said, not so. You got to go back to that little girl that was molested, and you got to go back and get her. You got to make sure you take care of your past before you can move into your future.
Wow. You are tackling some really deep and heavy topics in this book.
Yes.
Between the tragic loss of both of your parents at the same time.
Yes.
Being molested as a child. And in your introduction in this book, you talk about being a caterpillar. Relate that to me, to your story, to what you wrote in the introduction about being a caterpillar.
Wow. I remember so clear that when God shared that metaphor with me, and actually I was driving on Capitol Boulevard, and I'm the type of person that when God gives me something, I want to share it. And sometimes I get so excited, I want to share it on social media. But God did not allow me to share it. He said, because it's like 2016, you were going into a cocoon, right? You had been through all of these tragedies. You've been through difficulties, rejection. You even been in places where people didn't even feel like you were enough. And so he said, you're going from stage to stage, and now you're going from stage to stage. And he said, I think it was 2016, he said you were a caterpillar, and then he said 2017 you were going to go into the cocoon, and he said 2018 you were going to fly. You were going to turn into this butterfly. You was going to flap your wings. So that is reason why at the end of I Am Tammy, there is a butterfly attached to that, because he said 2018 you're going to fly. 8 represents abundance. So I'm just overwhelmed what God is doing.
You know what? I have noticed that butterfly at the end of your I Am Tammy.
Yes.
And now that makes perfect sense.
Makes sense. Yes.
So just a moment ago, you mentioned molestation, and that you had to go back and get that little girl. Could you tell us about that stage of your life?
Actually, if I can go back to that part, that God really started dealing with me with that. Over the course of the years, I just found a way to press the pain. I found a way to just bury the pain, if you would say. And I became immune to pain, right? It's almost like I was addicted to it. So it followed me throughout the course of my life. But when I went to New Orleans, I met a young lady that was an author. And this was like 3 years ago. And she came to me and she, prayed for me. And she said, can I give you my book? And I said, sure, I was there on business. And then she said, I want you to read my book. And when I got on my flight to go home, I said, let me just read this book. I'm on, heading home. This is the perfect time to read. And it said, that mommy had touched me. And I opened up the book and all I could do was weep. And God, that's when he really spoke and said, you need to deal with this.
Yeah.
You really need to deal with this. And he said, I need you to go get counseling, go get help. So I really want to encourage people that you shouldn't try to tackle these things on your own. It's okay to talk to someone. But through my childhood, I just buried it. And I just didn't speak to anyone about it because I was shamed. I was shamed, and I felt like it was my fault. Being a child at 7 years old, then 10, to happen again. I went through, they diagnosed me with post-traumatic syndrome.
Wow.
Because it just followed me through my whole life. And I could hide behind the mask. Yeah. I could put on a different face, and you didn't know that I was just hurting inside.
Yeah. You said something really important there. There are so many of us that walk around with a mask on every day that we are wearing just for the public, and even sometimes for our family, sometimes for our friends. But the shame, the guilt, the pain, the hurt that we are carrying around, it hasn't gone anywhere.
Nope.
We may not be showing it and we may not be exhibiting, but we're still carrying the weight of that pain. And whether we realize it or not, that weight is affecting our thoughts, and our thoughts are affecting our behaviors, and our habits and all of those things. So even when we try to suppress things, it's still there. It's still having an impact on the things that we do every day, the decisions that we make every day. We're basing them off of the pain, the hurt, the shame, the guilt that we're carrying from childhood, from our early 20s, sometimes from our 30s and 40s. So guys, this is a really important topic that we need to go back and address those things that are bothering us, those things that we have suppressed. Otherwise, we continue to carry the weight. And in my book, there's I wrote one particular sentence that always stands out to me, and because I was an angry young woman, and I knew that angry young women become bitter old women.
Yes.
When we don't deal with those stresses, those pains, those hurts, those traumas,
that's right,
we can become bitter and cynical about life. So Tammy, I'm so glad that you didn't become bitter and cynical, and that you decided to share your story with us. Her book, guys, is Suddenly by Tammy Mills. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us about your story?
You mentioned one thing about becoming bitter and angry. So during those dark moments, I did become angry and bitter with God.
Wow.
And I also became angry and bitter with myself, because I felt like I wasted so much time by not handling this, by not addressing this. And I saw how these tragedies that I went through, especially from my childhood, robbed me. And you talked about the thoughts, right? It robbed me from even being creative and imagining to have a better life, because every day you wake up to it. And you cannot prosper, you cannot flourish and thrive into the things that God has for you if you constantly thinking about what happened, the tragedies, the trauma, the touching, right? You cannot live that abundant life. So I found myself too in those situations, in that place where I was angry with God. And it was like when I was writing the book, you know, because I said, I'm not going to do this. I'm angry. And I put it down. But God, you know, he told me after numerous of time, you know, are you finished having your tantrum? Are you finished?
Won't he just set us straight sometimes?
Ooh, when he said that thing, y'all, I was like, wow, my daddy, you talking to me like that? He was like, get it together. I need you to focus.
So you let's unpack that a little bit, because you said initially that you were angry with God.
Yes.
And then you said you were angry with yourself. So how did you get over that anger that you felt towards God?
I began to, if I can use the word reminisce, I began to think about our relationship prior and think about how God had been so good to me. I thought about how he just blessed me beyond measure, and how all down through the years that he did not allow the enemy to just really take my mind, that he didn't allow me to go through with contemplating suicide when I wanted to do that. So that is what really got me through. And this is what we really supposed to do when we going through things. And when God don't move, when we expect him to move, we going through a suddenly tragedy, we go through a difficulty or hardship, we have to think about what God had already brought us through. Yeah, it's a test. And so I had to think about what God had already done. He's still a sovereign God.
Yes, he
is. Nothing is hidden before him. And I had to do that to continue to keep my relationship with God, right? And I said, I can't let this go. I can't let this man go. I can't allow this holy God go. He's all I got. Yeah. He's all I got, right? He said, without me, you can do nothing. So I needed him to complete the book. So I had to get back in alignment with God. And then for myself, I had to forgive myself and say, it's okay. It's okay. Write the story, and so you can be able to bless the nations. Be obedient to God. Yeah. Because he said obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yes, it is. All he wants is our obedience.
Our obedience.
Oh gosh, Tammy, this has just been amazing. And you know, there's the old people always say, you don't look like what you've been through.
Woo, praise God.
But that's nothing but God right there.
Nothing but God.
Just to show his favor and his peace.
Yes, I have peace now.
Yeah.
A lot of peace.
So tell everyone, well, you share so much in this book. Again, guys, the book is Suddenly, because God gave her that title, and it was about the sudden loss of both of her parents. So What else would you like to share with everyone today?
Suddenly is also, it's a book of gripping stories. Mm-hmm. So there are numerous of stories in the book that suddenly tragedies happen. Like my daughter got diagnosed with brain tumors suddenly in college. She was getting ready to graduate.
Wow, you did not share that with me.
Yeah, so it's in the book. So everything in suddenly is stories that happen suddenly, tragedies that happen. And the reason why God say I had to write this story, because suddenly tragedies happen every single day.
Yes.
They're unpredictable. It doesn't matter if you are a Caucasian or African American. It doesn't matter if you are wealthy or in poverty. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD or a GED. Suddenly tragedies happen to everyone.
Girl, go ahead and preach now. You got me about ready to run. Because, that is really true. We think that, good things are going to happen, always happen to good people. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is life happens to all of us.
Yes.
And that sometimes things are going to happen suddenly that will knock you off of your feet.
Yes.
But with God on your side, there is nothing that we can't overcome. Nothing. And as he says, he'll use all things.
All things for the good.
For the good.
He'll work it out for you.
Yes, he will.
He told me in all of this, he said, daughter, I got your parents and I got you.
Woo.
And I just kept that with me and just continued to play in my mind even today.
Yeah.
That I got you.
That just gave me chills there. I got your parents and I got you.
And I got you.
What a comforting thought.
Yes.
To know, because the word teaches us that he is our refuge, our resting place, our comforter.
Yes, he is.
Our peace.
He's their passive understanding. You don't even
He can be all of those. He is all of those
yes,
things to us.
Yes.
So Tammy, share with everyone how we can get your book Suddenly.
Oh, absolutely. You can get your copy today on Amazon. You can go right to Amazon and you can type in Suddenly, or you can type in Tammy Mills and it'll pop right up. You can also find me on Facebook, Tammy Mills, and you can I'll send you the link so you can definitely order, or you can find me on Instagram. I am Tammy5279.
That's awesome. Guys, pick this book up, because as I've learned some things tonight that I didn't know, but this book can really help a lot of us that have gone through tragedies, that have gone through molestation, that have gone through a diagnosis that we weren't expecting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also wanted to include that, it suddenly starts out in a very, very dark place. But as you read each chapter, it gives you hope to let you know that is there going to be a brighter side to Suddenly? Yes, it is, because God recently told me after I write the book, he said, now, daughter, you went through the suddenly tragedies. Now I got to release some suddenly blessings. Ooh. And so you will see, as you get to the end of the book, you will see how God was able to pull me out and help me to overcome every tragedy that I went through. Didn't get on any medications, but I trusted in God. And he said, his ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. But we got to trust him in the deepest places that we don't even seem like it's going to be a way made. And he did it for me. And so what I'm also doing, you will see in the book that I'm doing part 2 to Suddenly. It's a workbook. And, I just don't want people to read the book, but I want to have a guide so people can start their process of healing, just like God did for me.
That is amazing. That is so wonderful. And God is truly an amazing God. He is so awesome. And I am truly honored to have first-time author Tammy Mills here with me today.
It's a privilege.
And you mentioned earlier, you're also an artist. You have a CD as well, don't you? Is your CD still available?
It's not ready yet.
Okay.
What I did, I revised this Christmas last year, and I'm supposed to be getting with my producer, hopefully this month.
Okay.
Because I had started out doing my music. And this is something too, guys, about being obedient to God, because I love to sing and I was traveling singing, but God said, I need you to write the book first. I need you to write the book. And I'm like, hold up, you gave me this voice to sing and now you telling me not to sing, and I'm confused. He said, write the book first, and then I will open up the windows of heaven for you. And that was hard to do, because what I was doing was trying to write the book, sing, write the book and sing. But I learned if you can focus on one thing and do what God is telling you to do, it will open up all your gifts and talents.
Yes.
But you just focus on one. Focus on one. And if you commit that thing to God, he will establish it.
Yes, he
Commit
will.
it to him, and he will establish it, and be faithful and work toward it. So this was hard work, but I put the work in, and I just give suddenly back to God.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you said that you're going to be coming out with a workbook, because people get their deliverance and their healing and by hearing their stories sometimes, but sometimes we need to put some work in.
Absolutely.
And by journaling and seeking professional help and doing things of that nature, but by having a workbook to go along with this book, that will actually help people move along in their stages of grief, their loss, whatever they may be feeling. The workbook will definitely help them get to a place where you are, because as I said earlier, you don't look like what you've been through.
Praise God.
But that's God's grace and his favor.
Absolutely.
So, Tammy, thank you so much for being with me today. I am honored to. We met a couple years ago, and when the night we met, we were sitting there. I was like, I feel like we met for some other reason other than to sing on a choir.
Yes.
Now, she's got a voice like a songbird, guys. I do not. I'm there for backup. But God is using me in a mighty way.
Yes,
I never imagined that I would be singing on a choir with professional singers. But I am.
Yes,
but it's because he has another plan. He has a purpose.
Yes, he does.
So, and that was the purpose for us to sit down and have this conversation on tonight.
You said it. Yes.
So, Tammy, I am so honored, and thank you for allowing me here in your beautiful home tonight.
Thank you.
I look forward to having you back on again to talk about your workbook.
Absolutely. I'm ready to come back.
All right. Awesome. So, guys, thank you for tuning in for Joyful Living. And again, the purpose of this channel is to spotlight those people who have gone through some things, who have gone through tragedies, who have suffered in their lifetime, but they still have joy. They have triumphed, they have persevered, and they have persisted. And now the favor of God is on their lives. The whole purpose of this channel is to encourage you that no matter what you're going through, to keep going, to keep getting up day after day, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, to keep praising God, to keep lifting up your holy hands, and he will see you through. Guys, thank you for watching Joyful Living. We will have episodes coming out in the coming weeks, so please hit the subscribe button and get notifications so that you'll see every time a new video comes out. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye-bye.